Hey everyone, my name is Sean, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you what are the best tech cards to be playing and considering for your decks going into Season 4. These are results based off of an analysis I did of over 50 different tournaments throughout Season 3. If you would like to know what the best decks to play or the best hand traps to play for Season 4 are, feel free to go and check out some videos I've already uploaded to my channel if you want to see those results. So we're going to look at today the best tech cards that people are playing. Cards which are, say, negates or counters to other popular play cards in the game right now. Starting at the bottom of the list, I've tried to make this as generic as possible. Cards that are really can be used in any deck. I'm not trying to do cards that only really see play in one or two decks, or basically one deck overall. So I'm trying to see generic cards, but just a couple of cards at the bottom of the list which I thought were interesting are things like Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer being in the meta, being a really good anti-graveyard card that can, when it does damage, banish cards from the graveyard and also stop your opponent from banishing cards in the graveyard. And then we're seeing some normal traps being really played in the meta, like Paleozoic Dynamiscus, Ice Dragon Prison, and Lost Wind. Lost Wind and Paleozoic Dynamiscus do not surprise me, as they are very cheap cards to craft in Master Duel, so they're very easy to obtain. But they're also very effective in the regards that Paleozoic Dynamiscus can banish cards on the field, and Lost Wind can be used multiple times if your opponent summons from the extra deck repeatedly, where you can negate and half an opponent's monster effect by targeting it on the field, and then if they summon another monster from the extra deck, it sets itself back to the field. Also, there's Ice Dragon Prison, which is a super rare, I believe, and that is also really good in terms of being good back row, good monster removal, as it removes two monsters on the field without targeting them by banishing them off the field. Going on to other cards, one thing I thought was really cool was Vanity's Ruler. This is seeing some play in Drytron decks, as Drytrons can search pretty much any fairy out of the deck, and Vanity's Ruler is a monster that says your opponent cannot special summon. So if they have the ability to normal summon this to the field by attributing two Drytron monsters, it's really good. So it could also trigger tribute based effects as well, which is really nice as well. So Vanity's Ruler is creeping into the format in Drytron decks. Moving up a little bit, I thought Zombie World was really interesting, being used in Owlitch decks right now. And while this does nothing against decks such as Owlitch in the Mirror or Drytron, it absolutely destroys type-based decks like Tri-Brigade, where if they don't have Beast Warrior, Beast, or Wing Beast monsters on the field or the graveyard, they can't use their effects. So it basically shuts that deck down almost completely, unless they say they use another engine to get rid of this card on the field. So Zombie World is nice as well. Another card that I thought was really cool to see was Borrelsword going into the meta. In Master Rule 4, Borrelsword was everywhere, being the best Link 4 in the game that can kind of just OTK your opponent at a moment's notice. Once Access Code Talker came into the game, a lot of people dropped Borrelsword, as Access Code Talker is a lot more easier to use and has a removal based effect. But Borrelsword is coming back quite a bit, being able just to do a lot of damage very quickly to an opponent. And decks like Drytron really like this card, because they can just re-summon 4 monsters from the graveyard at a moment's notice. So it doesn't really matter when they use Borrelsword or the big cost for it, because it's almost worth it every single time. You've got some really interesting floodgates being into the meta. You've got Mistake, Rivalry of Warlords. Further up, you've got things like Skill Drain, Vanity's Emptiness are all really popular right now. I'm surprised that Vanity's Emptiness isn't actually being played more. This card was so powerful back in the day, and so I thought that a lot of people would be playing Vanity's Emptiness, because even as a one-off, just being able to flip over to your opponent and say, hey, you cannot special summon while this card is on the field, is a very powerful threat. I'm guessing that it's not seeing a lot of play because a lot of people don't need to play this card in order to be successful, but it's still a very good card overall. Then you've got things like Solemn Strike in the format as well, being a very reliable counter trap that can negate a monster effect. A lot of things cannot really beat Solemn Strike, so it's good going first and going second. And similarly, you've got Solemn Judgment, which is just a little bit more popular than Solemn Strike, being able to negate almost anything in the game for half of your life points. This is often used to protect boards from things like Harpy Feather Duster or Lightning Storm. Moving further down a little bit, let's talk about pot cards. The least popular pot card at the moment is Pot of Extravagance, but it's still very, very popular. Then we've got Pot of Desires, but the most popular pot card is Pot of Prosperity, which was really interesting. This card is everywhere right now. Pot of Prosperity is very powerful because you can just banish any free cards from your extra deck that you don't want in the attempt to kind of fix your hand, especially when you're going first and you don't really care about drawing too many cards or doing only half damage to your opponent because you're not going to do any damage anyway. Pot of Prosperity is really nice to see being played quite a bit in addition, because a lot of decks can use this card because they're not relying on too many draw cards right now. So Pot of Prosperity's downside of stopping you from being able to draw the same time you use this card doesn't really hurt them. And in decks like Eldritch, Tritron, and Tri-Brigade, you don't really need to draw to get your cards out of your deck. There are many other ways to search them out. So Pot of Prosperity is very, very popular right now. Even more so than Desires and Extravagance, but those cards are still really popular as well. And then in terms of extra deck monsters, we have Appaloosa as well as Borrelsword. Appaloosa, yep, pretty much one of the best going first negates you can put up on the board. Often put up with 3 negates at 2400 attack. It's being really good. But more successful than that is AA Zeus. AA Zeus is the second most popular tech card in the game. Zeus technically is a removal card, but I put it as a tech card because a lot of people put it in main phase 2 to kind of threaten their opponent. So it's more used as, say, a counter as opposed to as a normal just outright removal card. But Zeus is everywhere right now because it is so easy to summon. And even decks where you wouldn't think that you would be playing Zeus, people are putting Zeus in and finding a way to make it work. I've seen Zeus even in like Eldritch, where they'll have like multiple level 10s in the deck. Then you say something like Gustav Max, do 2k damage or attack for 6k, and then if they don't win, pop down a Zeus. And then yeah, Zeus is just really, really easy to use right now. Very, very powerful card. And then we're to the top of the list, and the most popular card in the game right now, combined with Crossout Designator, is definitely Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is everywhere right now, and I believe this is because a lot of decks are very reliant upon the graveyard, and this card is a very easy to use card that can negate effects in the graveyard. In addition, Master Duel is experiencing what I describe as a hand trap meta right now, where Max E, Ash Blossom are defining the first turn and the second turn because they're being played so much, and Call by the Grave is there as an option to be able to negate them. What's really interesting by Call by the Grave, and to an extent Crossout Designator, is that they almost change the way you think about using cards like Maxi and Ash Blossom. So a lot of people, or at least in my case what I'm finding, is that I will throw down Maxi at any time, but I will hold my Ash Blossom if I don't have Call by the Grave, because Ash Blossom can negate Maxi as well as Call by the Grave. But if I have Call by the Grave, then I'll use my Ash Blossom to negate Maxi and use my Call by the Grave for other things. It's really, really quite interesting when you think about the different ways you can use cards like Call by the Grave. And because Call by the Grave is semi-limited, a lot of people are choosing to play Crossout Designator as well. And where we're in a format where you can almost guarantee that your opponent is going to be playing cards like Call by the Grave, Zeus, and hand traps like Ash Blossom and Max E, Crossout Designator has been really, really popular right now. I've seen people playing just one copy of it, so they have technically 3 Call by the Graves, but also people are playing 3 copies of it, so they have 5 ways to negate hand traps in the game, which is really, really powerful right now. So Call by the Grave is definitely number 1. It's easily the most popular tech card in the game, and if you don't have it, I would strongly recommend going to pick up some, as it is very, very good if you have the deck space to be able to fit it in. Join me next time as I'm going to be doing the last of my list here, which is the best board breakers, aka the best going second cards in the game right now, and you can use that to help you with your own deck building. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Which of these tech cards are you running? Do you have your own form of tech that maybe isn't on the list that is really going to be really powerful in this format? Let me know down in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.